Hello, Lego fans, and welcome into a brand new episode of the Brick Hour podcast. I am JJ, otherwise known as Langster Builds on Instagram.
I am Cameron, otherwise known as Cameron Studios.
And with us
Uh,
to... Oh, go
oh,
ahead. Sorry, you're good. Please,
I'm
please.
Matthew, otherwise known as Brick Lizard.
Yes, and Matt is our special guest for today. We're going to be interviewing him, doing our first ever creator interview. We are very happy to have him on. Matt, if people might don't know who you are at first, would you like to introduce yourself quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. I go by Brick Lizard on most of my social media. Huge Lego nerd, as well as these guys, of course. And I recently got hired at the Lego Group to be a product designer.
That
So
deserves a round of applause right there.
thanks, Cam. Yeah, super exciting. Like dream job, of course, as I'm sure it is for a lot of us watching this. So yeah, I'm excited to share my experience with everyone.
Yeah, that was, and we will get to that at some point down the line in this episode. But first things first, Cam, what are we building?
What are we building? Well, I literally built this before this episode. It's the Red Space Baby. He is
Cute.
amazing. He is gonna be in the backdrop from now on. Love him.
Do we just
And
spoil that all three of us have the space
yes,
baby?
I guess that's what we're all building.
Pretty much.
I also snagged the Mario Kart shell.
Nice.
I'm not
Cool.
sure if I'm gonna keep it or if I'm gonna sell it. I do got Brick World and Brick Fair coming up, as well as our own Lugs garage sale, so we'll see. Methuselah, not a word. To get the Space Baby, I had to get the Iron Man Armory,
Nice.
and
He's gonna cook you in the comments too. It's
no,
not
I
even
don't
funny.
care. I wanted to get the Space Baby, and then I also got the Civil War. I did not get the Endgame Battle because I'm waiting for a discount on that because that one deserves a discount.
A hefty discount.
And JJ's been waiting probably 2 weeks for this.
Yeah,
I made a Bricklink order,
what did you get?
and initially I was only gonna buy one thing, but then I saw something else and I couldn't resist. I bought three Frozones
Oh my, oh, you're gonna use it for
Oh,
the Fantastic
interesting.
Four.
for the Fantastic Four. The colors should match, so we'll wait and see.
I
Three
don't think
bucks a
they do.
piece. I couldn't resist.
So, sorry, are you making three of the brickheads?
So I have a fourth Frozone minifigure with
Uh-huh.
the Fantastic Four Galactus set coming out. They all have the white boots.
Uh-huh.
So if the colors match, I'm going to swap them out.
So I'll have the dual molded legs, which will be nice.
And
Nice.
finally, Scott, not a word. Well, actually, Scott's known about this.
You bought a dream set, didn't you? Oh, get out of here with that.
Okay, there is a meaning
Wow.
behind this.
Are those sealed?
They are sealed.
That's
Oh
insane.
my God, he bought sealed gift.
That's
So
awesome.
the big story behind this one was my brother's growing up. This one was mine growing up. Most of I got a good chunk of them left, but some pieces are missing. I wanted
Mhm.
to have them complete. Not a bad price. Got them
That's
for
hilarious.
27 a piece. And I don't think I'm gonna get any more except maybe Johnny Bluetooth,
Mhm.
but
Oh God.
I got him, JJ.
I love that you bought them sealed too. That's the best part.
That's awesome.
There wasn't many options out there, and there was this one store who I guess he was cleaning out his garage or something.
Surprised they
He has
weren't
a
more.
bunch of older sets, and he just says like shelfware, but they've been in storage for the longest time. He's
Hmm.
got a few more Galador sets, JJ, if you want to grab some.
No.
Scott, Methuselah. But that is all of what I'm building. Matt, what have you been building?
So I got the Space Baby, of course. I haven't built it yet, but I also recently repurchased some old XO4 sets.
Ooh.
Yeah, these are sweet.
So my sister and I had some XO4 sets growing up, and we recently were like talking about them and kind of reminiscing.
Hmm.
And I realized that the white one that I had growing up is kind of similar to this recent Zane mech,
Oh,
and I
wow.
want to try to like make a like take the skeleton from this one, but apply kind of the design from this one and do something with those.
That's actually genius.
So I haven't started that yet, but I've always got like a gajillion things in the works. So I've got some other designs that I might share later on in the
Ooh.
episode.
That will be fun.
All right, JJ, what have you been building?
So I, of course, also grabbed the Space Baby because it was too cute and I could not get it. I also picked up a third Clone Trooper Battle Pack because I will be needing that for something soon. I also got the C-3PO keychain because I wanted to
Copier.
basically rip it apart and use it so I could have the legs kind of like Cam did. So I have the dual molded leg now, which is great.
Nice.
And I had to get the U-wing for Yavin. It'll be docked
Yep.
on the one side off to the edge.
Okay.
And the one thing that's weird is there is two sets missing out of this order, which is odd. One of them was back order, which is the Rebel Scout Speeder, so that ships at the end of the month. But for some reason, I also ordered the Captain Rex Y-Wing just so I could have another Captain Rex.
Right.
And they shipped it in its own box separately.
Hmm.
And it somehow got rerouted to Nevada.
Oh,
And now it's coming back and it should be here. I don't know why they did it.
That's
wait,
crazy.
so what? It started in Illinois. It made its way closer here, then it went
No, it
back to
started in
Nevada.
California, then it went to
Oh,
Nevada, and then it's coming here. So they
that's
must have not had any in I don't know what happened with that, but
Wow.
huh.
yeah, weird. But that's all I have for this week. And now we're gonna get into the real treat of this episode, which is our
Yes.
first creator interview. And we had to pick Matt for the first creator interview. Um, he's been a huge part of Rock Lug for a very long time.
Hmm.
He's an incredible builder, as you can see from some of the stuff off to the side that he's done. And like he mentioned, that he is also going to be working for the Lego Group in the coming months. So he's the perfect person to have us
Yes.
start this small little sub series with. So, Cam, would you like to start asking the first question?
I would love to. So, Matt, how
Yeah.
long have you been a fan of Lego and what first got you interested in Lego?
So to be honest, I've been a fan of Lego for almost as long as I can remember. Like I had Lego as a kid, and my sister and I like grew up with. We didn't have a ton of Lego, but we had a good amount, and we always had this huge like bin of Lego, and we would just dump it out and build all this crazy stuff together. So it's always been like part of my identity, like
Hmm.
especially stemming from my childhood. But I think not until a few years ago when I joined Rock Lug
Okay.
was when I really was like, oh, this is more of a community than I realized it was.
Oh.
Because it really felt like I was kind of on my own, just doing Lego stuff for a
Hmm.
lot of my life until I realized, like, oh, this isn't only a thing for kids. Like, other adults are also interested in this and building awesome stuff.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how we all met each other was through the lug.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you find the lug
The
originally?
So it was the very first year of Brick Universe in Rochester. I was not part of the lug at that point, but I had recently moved back to Rochester, and I've been a huge fan of Lego all my life. So I was like, oh my gosh, a Lego convention that's like local.
Hmm.
Because I kind of knew about like Brick Fair Virginia or Brick World Chicago,
Mhm.
but as a recent graduate from college, that was always a little bit out of my price range to like travel to those shows. So when there was one local to me, I was really excited. So I went to that show, and then I discovered Rock Lug there, and I didn't even know there was like a local community before I went to that show.
It's kind of like it's kind of wild how like a lot of people found the club through the events and whatnot around the area. It's
Yeah.
always kind
JJ,
of
is that how
fun.
you found it?
No, I found it through Rob, I think, actually, because
Oh
Wow.
yeah.
I went to college with Rob, so I found it through him. So what first got you interested in mock building, and how long have you really been mock building for?
So I did get into mock building a little bit before I joined the lug. I previously had been living in Maryland, and I was like a little bit, I didn't have a lot of space in my apartment there, but I had some Speed Champion sets, and there was like a couple of them in the same color. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll just kind of combine the ones with the same color and try to make my own design. You have a little bit more pieces to work with. It's kind of an alternate build type of situation. And it was just that was kind of the perfect time for me to jump back into mock making, like designing my own things. So it really connected with me, and I had so much fun doing it. And it kind of, it was COVID-19, it was quarantine, everyone was at home, bored out of their minds. and I was like, Lego was kind of my escape from that.
Yeah.
And then I like during COVID-19 is when I moved back to New York, and then I shortly after joined Rocklug, and there were the monthly challenges, and it really just worked out so nicely for me to kind of jumpstart my whole Lego career, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So, where do you find your inspiration for your mocks?
Um, Recently it's been recreating kind of like logos like the Bills logo, the RIT logo, St. John Fisher logo. And it's fun doing those, but originally it started as just not trying to recreate something that exists already, but trying to come up with my own design. And I still like doing that. So it's a little bit of both, like trying to recreate things that exist and coming up with my own designs just because I think they're cool and fun.
That's awesome.
Um, is there a favorite theme or a sub theme that you have that you like to work in when it comes to mock building? Obviously, you mentioned Speed Champions, but
Yeah.
with that, what else is there anything else you like to work alongside with?
So yeah, Speed Champions, like you said, that was kind of my like initial starting point, and I just really enjoy working in that format. But I've gotten more into the kind of art side of things lately, kind of doing the mosaic, kind of like the recent Van Gogh sunflower
Okay.
set, or like I really love this Star Wars set. It's kind of like trying to recreate shapes with the specific Lego elements is fun. But I've also really liked the Tales of the Space Age style, those little dioramas.
Hmm.
I don't think I have any right here, but I've designed a gajillion of those. Those are a lot of fun. Just I find that it's fun when you're kind of constrained to a specific format and then you're
Yeah.
forced to be creative within that format. So like the Speed Champions or the Tales of the Space Age, like you have to work within those constraints. And that's like it's kind of fun, some fun problem solving to make sure you fit within those boundaries.
Hmm. No, I with that, like it's actually what you said there that kind of helped me get more into mock building myself
Oh yeah?
because the Disney mosaic with all the little characters from Disney 100,
Uh-huh.
I originally started it as just combining the four of them together and then just doing all of their designs. But then after that, I want to design the series one and two, but only designing with the pieces from that set in the same
Yeah.
style. So like you kind of inspired me to start with that and then moving on to the brickheads, kind of like staying within like the brickhead limits.
Yeah, that's awesome. And even like some of my earliest mocks were brickheads also, because it's just
Oh, really?
yeah, because it's a nice like small compact format. Like you don't need to get super complicated with it to kind of play around and try to recreate your characters. Like you can, but you don't have to. And it's just trying to work within those boundaries kind of fosters creativity. So I think that's like it's a great place to start
Mhm.
for any mock designer.
So with the mock design, like what does your design process look like with like building your own mocks? Like where do you start when you want to build something?
It really depends on what I'm trying to build. So for something like the Bills logo here, if I'm trying to recreate something like a specific shape, what
Mhm.
I'll probably do is find the logo, like a an image file, and then I'll import it into a Lego CAD software like Studio, and then I'll try to recreate the shapes. Like I'll probably choose some specific shape, some small detail, and say what pieces fit this exact shape. And then that's kind of how I'll scale the entire thing and then start to
Mhm.
recreate those shapes. But other times I'm trying to not necessarily create something that replicates a real life thing, but I'm trying to challenge myself. So I'll say, okay, I want to build a Speed Champions car, but I want to build it in a really obscure color, like the old original purple color, which is
Mhm.
retired many years ago and has not many like modern pieces in
It
it.
really doesn't.
It
Yeah,
doesn't.
exactly. So it's I'll start kind of looking at when pieces are available in that color and just figure out like how can I maybe make anything out of these pieces. And it's just a fun challenge to do
Mhm.
that kind of stuff.
With those cars, how many colors do you have now? And like, do you have all the colors, or is it just kind of like you have like most of them?
That's a good question. There are a lot. I might be able to figure out how many, but I definitely do not have all of them.
Mhm.
Ooh.
I tried to finish up some of these pastel colors for Brick Universe. This
Yes.
is like bright light
Oh.
blue, and I don't know if it's gonna show up very well on camera, but this one was interesting. This is like the flesh color. Let me try to.
Yes.
Oh,
That
the
would that one was
nougat.
funky.
Yeah, the nougat color, which I bought the Adobe set and I like tore it apart to build this.
Oh
All
my
of these
God.
like real elements are Adobe's fingers because it kind of is like out of context, it's kind of a nice pastel orange color, but
Yeah,
it is just like skin tone flesh color.
that's pretty
It's
funny. I mean,
an interesting
I
color to
remember when I
use.
first saw all like the cars that you had at that point, and I believe it was at when we did Maker Faire, you had all your cars, and we were talking
Yeah.
about the different sand colors, like sand blue, sand green, and I think you started making them like that night.
Yes. Yeah,
And it's amazing how you can make all the different shapes and such with all the different cars.
it definitely is tricky sometimes. Let's see. I see if I can share my screen.
Yeah, you definitely can.
And we'll be sure to link your Instagram in the description below
Yes.
so everyone can see all
Yeah,
your amazing
yeah,
work.
absolutely.
Now, one other question when it comes to the cars, I guess we can dwell on this for a minute, is do the different colors of the various cars kind of go to limit what kind of parts you can use? Because obviously not every part's made in every color. So are
Yes.
there certain like body shapes of cars that you have to kind of be careful with because certain colors aren't available?
Yeah, absolutely. Like most of the time when I start designing something, the first thing I check is if there's any sort of fender element that
Hmm.
exists in that color. Because for most of the cars, it does not. Like the newish reddish orange color, there's nothing.
Hmm.
Um, but like some of these cars, that was the whole starting point. Like this bright green car, this
Hmm.
is the only fender element that exists in bright green. So that was kind of like the whole starting point for this car,
Well,
was
that's so
working around
cool.
it.
Interesting.
So yeah, that definitely plays a big part in it. So this is my kind of full studio file of all the cars that I have built and the ones that I want to build. So I have like most of the standard rainbow,
Hmm.
and some of the kind of oddball colors like neon yellow, coral. This is sand red and sand purple, which I actually
Oh.
don't think I've posted designs for those yet because I was hoping to finish the other sand colors, sand blue, sand green,
Hmm.
sand yellow, which is technically dark tan, I think.
Oh, okay. So like the more common skin color tone.
Yes, yeah. I
Okay.
started with the hard ones because it was very difficult to build in these two colors specifically. Um, but I just, it's just kind of a fun challenge. Like it started as, oh, it would be cool if I had the basic rainbow of cars that
Hmm.
Speed Champions released. But then they didn't release some of the colors for a long time. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll build my own. And then I was like, oh, what if I built even more? And it just never ended.
Do you find yourself taking kind of certain design elements from the Speed Champions cars and incorporating them if you have the parts available, or is it just kind of like I'm gonna just take this basic chassis and just go from there?
I definitely do incorporate like even I don't think I have specific examples, but the Speed Champion sets are such a great teaching tool for like they fit so many complex techniques into such a small form factor.
Hmm.
Like you
Hmm.
could really learn a lot about interesting building techniques just by building Speed Champion sets or looking through the instructions. You don't even have to buy them.
Right.
There's so many interesting techniques with brackets and hinges and the way they get things to line up. It's crazy.
So now these aren't the only ones you've designed yourself, because you also have some of your theme specific cars that just always blow my mind with the different shapes and colors that you're able to make with like the classic space, for example.
Yeah, yeah. I have done quite a few space ones. And honestly, I don't think I've even, let's see if I can find that. I don't think I've really shared many of the space ones. So this is the
I
first one
love
I
that one.
designed, just original classic space. And I've designed quite a few others though. Like I did an M-Tron little
Ooh.
truck, a Blacktron. Oh, I did a couple of Ice Planet ones. I have shared those.
Ooh.
But yeah, I sometimes I design things and I have so much fun designing them, but creating instructions for things and then taking nice pictures of them is so much extra effort on top of that.
Yeah,
Sometimes I
definitely.
don't get around to that part.
No,
And
it's
that is a
just
part of, and that is a part of your design process. Is you do post some of these designs on Rebrickable for other people to find. Do
Oh
you
yeah.
like do you find that there's certain ones where you're like, yeah, this I gotta share, or there are other ones and there's some where you're just like, ah, not really, like I don't really need to, kind of like you were saying, or would you
Most
rather try to get all of them out there?
most of the time I do like to I like sharing my stuff and I
Mhm.
like getting feedback from people in the community. Um, so generally, yes, I do want to share all of my designs, but some definitely have a priority, like something very specific and niche, like Ice Planet Speed Champions. I might not try to push out right away, but other things that I know will be popular, like the Bills logo, like especially
Mhm.
around here in uh, Western New York,
hmm.
that's going to be a very popular thing. Some things take priority, some things get pushed to the back seat, and then sometimes I forget about them. And there's just I always have new ideas brewing, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll start this design and this design. And sometimes things just don't get finished. You know, there's so much going on.
there's always another project.
Yes. Oh yeah.
When it comes to the logo designs,
Mhm.
where did you kind of start with like what made you like do that? Like, because obviously the RET one was first. What made you even think to do that? And
So I
just to jump into that whole kind of thing.
honestly, let me open up. You're getting a little peek into my
Ooh,
uh like how I design things here, my how my structure goes.
your thought
I
process.
think actually before the
You're the Rochester logo, that's right.
yeah, I think the
Oh
Rochester
wow.
logo was honestly my first kind of logo design. And my initial thought was for this was, oh, it would be fun to potentially have this as a kit at Rochester shows. Like
Mhm.
we have a pretty good lug community in the Rochester area. And I thought maybe this would be a fun kit for people to buy and build that are native to Rochester. It ended up being a little bit too expensive to be used as a kit, but this was like my first foray into that. Um, and it was a lot of fun designing it. So yeah, then my next one was the RIT logo because I went to Rochester Institute of
Go
Technology,
Tigers.
RITJ, yeah. So you can kind of see here how I designed it is I pull in a picture file and then I just stick it on here and then try to recreate the shapes,
Wow.
try to kind of line things up. So you can kind of see like things don't have to line up perfectly, but if you have the general shapes and you get the ideas across, it's it looks good enough, and like you can barely even tell from
No, when
Mhm.
you lay it on
a
top, you
distance.
can't even see where the image was.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
when you zoom out, like just like seeing it at Brick Universe, like up close and then backing up, it comes to a point where it doesn't even look like a Lego sculpture. It just looks like a flat image of the actual logo, which is amazing.
yeah, thanks.
Also, I know a lot of people aren't gonna get this. Thank you for including the dots in the RT.
Oh yeah, I
Rip the
mean
dots and they're gone now.
the dots were there when I went to school. I like the dots.
All right,
They
you
were
gotta fill
getting
me in. You gotta fill
they
me in.
so basic Rochester lore for those who don't know. RIT originally had dots in between the three letters. At one point, while I was there, they got rid of the dots, and it became a meme on campus of rip the dots, bring back the dots, save the dots, to the point where at the hockey games, so for a little bit of knowledge from my room here, that R is one of the original giant cutout letters that we carry at the corner crew at our 18 hockey games. And after the dots in the logo were dispersed and they got rid of them, we printed out two like 8 by 11 sheets of paper that just had giant circles on them. So we held the dots up, and of course those pieces of paper did not survive more than a month. So we just kept making more dots. So that was kind of a funny thing. But yeah, this like when you first showed this off, I'm like, and now he's getting into logos. This is going to be really interesting, seeing what else happens here.
Hmm.
And then you obviously, I'm guessing, was the Bills logo next?
Um, I think no, there were a couple more in between. So actually, not long after I did this one, Cameron, you recommended that I do the
Yeah, I
the
was just curious to
St.
see if
John
you could do
Fisher
it because like it just seemed
logo.
like such like a straightforward shape, especially like
Yeah.
compared to RIT.
Oh yeah. I mean, honestly, it's a much simpler design overall. Like it's hard getting some of these kind of sharp angles and the
Hmm.
roundness, but compared to the RIT logo, this was much easier.
Nice.
Well, of course, because you recommended I do that one, and I already did the RIT logo, which JJ liked. I couldn't, I couldn't say no. But
Fair. I
also,
mean, I appreciate you making it.
of course. But my wife also actually worked for St. John Fisher for a little while.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I thought it would be nice to do that for her. But she currently works for
Oh,
Nazareth University. So I have also done the Golden
Mm.
Flyers logo for Nazareth. And it's kind of funny, St. John Fisher and Nazareth universities in Rochester are like basically across the street from each other, and
Yes,
they're
they
kind
are.
of
A
competitive.
little bit of a rivalry.
Yeah. Yeah. So if I did one, I felt like I kind of had to do the other one.
No, that came out great too. Wow.
Yeah, it took me a little while to finish this one because these pearl gold parts that I used on the
Mm.
outline, a lot of them only recently came out in the C3PO like large buildable set.
Ah.
oh,
So it took me a little while to get a hold of those because they weren't readily available.
interesting.
So what's next for your logos? Like what's the in progress one, if you care to share?
I would love to. So these ones are kind of niche, very local logos. I thought it would be fun to do something um, a little more accessible to the entire Lego community. So I thought it would be fun to design the Dragon
Oh,
Knight's shield.
Wow.
So you can see on the right here, my reference image. In the middle is the kind of my recreation of the classic logo.
that is
Um,
so good.
and this is technically buildable like as of the release of one very specific set.
Hmm.
There's one part, I have it here. I just bought it. This Keith Harrington dancing figure set.
Oh.
So this very specific, I'll pull it out here. This tile with two quarter round cutouts
Oh.
only just came out in yellow in that set.
That's
And
wild.
it's like kind of necessary for the design as I have it now.
Perfect
So
timing.
yeah, exactly. So this should be buildable by the time I post it. It might be a little pricey to get some of those very recent parts, but I have the parts on the way to build this physically. So hopefully I'll be posting that soon. And then I redesigned it a little bit with some kind of slight color alterations to make it a little more modernized, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of my recent logo design.
That does look really cool.
That's
Really
insane.
cool. Why am I seeing Bionicle Cube? That's interesting to me. If you even
Oh, yeah. A little sneak peek. So
okay.
there's also the
Whoa.
so there was this thing with Bionicle recently where like a fan-made video game got shut down by Lego,
Oh, that was so
which
sad.
I don't know much about it, but I
That'll
really
be a
enjoyed Bionicle growing up. And I kind of got reminded that there was this like symbolic cube thing where each face of the cube represents one of the like six elements.
Hmm.
And the way they all kind of wrap up and the lines like connect over the faces of the cube. I've always been kind of fascinated by it. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll try to design a little cube. And I was like, oh, it's not quite big enough. Maybe I'll make it a little bigger. And I was like, oh, what if I made it a little bigger?
That is
Um,
amazing.
and I don't think I think the small one is technically buildable, but the larger two, some of the parts, namely these quarter round elements, are not all actually available in the colors needed.
Hmm.
yet.
But I
Yeah,
just built them
exactly.
anyway.
Yeah, that would be really fun to actually be able to build that one day. I mean, it's all basically like the Nuva logos, which is the
Exactly.
Nuva stones, which is cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so getting into some more creator specific questions now.
Hmm.
Where did your name come from? The Brick Lizard.
That's a great question. So before I decided to sort of try to establish myself as an online presence, I realized that a lot of creators have like a name they use of across different platforms, across like Rebrickable, Bricklink, Instagram, Flickr. Like it's nice to have your own identity across these different platforms to share your Lego
Yeah, of
creation.
course.
Hmm.
So I wanted to come up with something that no one else had used before. And it's difficult to come up with because you want it to be recognizable as a Lego identity, but not necessarily like you can't really you got to be careful with using the word Lego itself.
Hmm.
So a lot of people just use the word bricks,
Right.
and I had to pick something, and I like lizards. I think they're cute the way they kind of skitter around with their little legs. So brick lizards seem like a good choice for me.
And if JJ wants to get out of big screen mode for a second,
I'm not a big screamo.
or Matt,
Oh yeah, here we
so love this little
Yes.
dude. This is Brick Lizard himself.
go.
Love it.
There it is.
But speaking of like Brick Universe and like everything that's been happening to you recently, so with you accepting a position with Lego as a set designer, could you
Yeah.
kind of walk us through what the process was like during like the interview and the various stages of the interview?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It was a pretty involved process. So initially, I submitted my resume to Lego. They had a position listed on their careers website. And I've been kind of keeping my eye on that for a while now because, like, Lego's basically my dream job. I still kind of can't believe that I actually got the job. But just keeping my eye on the website, I would check it every now and then, and I had a Lego specific resume ready to go
Oh, okay.
to submit. So I happened to check in November of 2024, and there was a position listed, so I applied to it right away. Um, and then not too long after that, they kind of got back to me and said they wanted to proceed a little further. So after the initial resume submission, the next stage was they had me answer a few questions on their website and I would like record a few in-person videos. So
Hmm.
I just kind of recorded myself answering a handful of questions. Honestly, I don't really remember what any of these questions were
Understandable.
so long ago. But I think that it was pretty basic stuff. And then the next stage after that is they sent me a design prompt and basically said, here's a like specific customer demographic that we would like you to target. Try to design an entire new theme to fit this
Mm.
target demographic, which is a lot to ask of anyone, I think. I had only a couple of weeks to work on this. Um, and I think that is very intentional. I don't think that they're expecting you to actually design a fully developed product range within a couple of weeks, like assuming you're also living your daily life and working a
Right.
job and stuff. They know it's kind of an impossible task, and that's the point. They want to see what you are able to accomplish and what you can do under that kind of pressure.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it was fun. I think I designed something decent. I didn't really feel very confident that I'd get to
Really?
the next stage, but apparently it was because they invited me then to travel to Denmark to interview in person, which was such a crazy experience. Like I've always wanted to travel there just because I'm a Lego fan.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So it was such a incredible opportunity to be able to go.
Awesome. So then what happened at Denmark, if you're able to say?
Yeah, so the Denmark process, it was a 2-day interview process, and there were 25 of us they brought out, 25 applicants they brought out together. And I think they tend to do it in chunks like this. So like they brought out our group of 25, but I think they've had more groups since I've been there
Hmm.
in further interview processes. So the 25 of us were kind of all working together. The first day was an individual design session. So each one of us had the exact same 4 stack of sets. And they basically told us like it was kind of the same as the home assignment. They said, here's your design prompt. You need to design something. But this time, instead of having all of your Lego at home and unlimited pieces in studio, you only have these 4 sets.
Ooh.
You have to use the pieces from these sets
Interesting.
to design something, which is very challenging. um, where all 25 of us are in the same room together, trying to focus on what we're doing, trying to come up with ideas. The pieces aren't sorted in any way. We don't know what parts are in here. Like, it's really challenging to design under that kind of pressure. But I think that's very much the point is they
Oh yeah.
want to pressure you and see how you perform under those kind of difficult scenarios.
Can you say what sets those were?
Yeah, I think I can. I don't think that's. I might not remember specifically what they all were, but there was the Concorde, the
Okay.
large airplane set, the most recent modular, which was the Cafe, what?
Oh,
Oh,
the Tudor corner.
Tudor,
yes.
Tudor corner. Yeah, it was something corner. I knew it was something corner. And then there was a botanical set. I think not the most recent bouquet, but
One
the
of the
one
many
with
bouquets.
yeah, one of the big bouquet sets. And then shoot, there was one.
Yeah,
Now I can't
remember that's no
remember
big deal.
which
But it's
one.
just it's kind of cool to think that like those three sets alone, there's a lot of like pieces in there, but like not specific. So that must
Yeah,
have been a really fun but challenging task to do.
yeah, it was. It was. It was definitely challenging. And I think they very intentionally make it a sort of impossible task
Hmm.
where they're like, okay, we want you to like combine architecture with natural botanical builds, or it's like two kind of opposing things like that, where
Hmm.
it's very difficult to try to combine that kind of stuff on the fly, especially.
I mean, and realistically, also like when you get those prompts, like if you're at home with your own parts and you have studio, it's I'm not gonna say easy, but it's much easier than you are confined to using these specific elements that are in front of you. And like you said, it's an impossible task, but it's done most likely in an attempt to. It's like at least from what I'm assuming, they weren't looking to see who was going to build the nicest looking thing. It was mostly who is kind of able to get the most creative with what they can do with
Hmm.
this. That's really realistically what it was, at least
I
in my
think you're
eyes.
right. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think it's more about how do you approach these problems, and like how do you pivot to adjust to these problems that are faced to you? Like,
Mhm.
it's one thing to be an incredible Lego designer.
Mhm.
Like, a lot of people can design really incredible things, but they're not necessarily good Lego sets. Like,
Correct.
if
Mhm.
you're going to build a Lego set, it needs to be structurally sound in a certain way. It needs to be buildable by most people. Like, there's incredible Lego artists out there, but not all of them are thinking about how can this be built by the average person.
Right.
And people also, I mean, I think we see the common, I don't want to say complaint or criticism, but people talking about like, well, why couldn't this set have been better? It's like, well, they have constraints they have to work under. Like
Oh yeah.
it is in the end a toy. Like
Mhm.
Yes.
it has to be able to be picked up and played with by somebody if that is what they're buying it for. And if it's going to fall apart the minute you touch it, like there's a reason the Star Wars sets don't look like brick vault sets because the brick
Yeah.
vault sets are meant to just be on a shelf and displayed and not
Exactly.
messed with.
Yep. Yep. You're exactly right.
So now, after like starting from the beginning of the interview to like now, like I can kind of see. I'm assuming you probably did well, because you got the job, obviously. But like you setting out yourself limits, like within Speed Champions, like to design a car in a similar style to Speed Champions, that kind of in inadvertently set you up to kind of do well at this task.
Yes, honestly, yes. I think challenging yourself in those kinds of ways, like limiting the parts you can work with, like making an alternate build of anything, I think is an awesome way to challenge yourself and force yourself to think about like clever solutions to any problem you might have. So it can be an alternate build of a set. It could be limiting yourself to working in one specific color or like a color theme. Um, but yeah, or like working within certain limits, like within the Speed Champions, kind of like eight wide by however many long, or the brickheads, like working within.
Yeah.
There's a very specific format to build a brickheads, but you can try to get really creative in your shaping to try to like recreate certain characters. Just anything like that where you're limited by something, I think really helps kind of force you to be creative.
Hmm.
So, can you speak to how influential being a part of a group like Rocklog, like a Lego user group, was to you as a builder and how it influenced your ability to create certain things?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I I really enjoyed Leo for a long time before I joined Rocklug, but it wasn't until I joined that I really kind of started to challenge myself. And like I never thought that I was a good builder. And then I joined Rocklug, and there was like a monthly challenge to build a spaceship or something. And I built a spaceship, and I won the challenge. And I was like, I don't even know anyone here. I didn't think I was good at building Lego. Like, it was crazy, and it made me feel so good and
Hmm.
so like connected to this community. It it's just so I never thought that there was so much love for the Lego community out there until I joined Rocklug and realized like there's so many people out here who just have so much passion for this stuff.
Hmm.
It was such a nice experience.
No, that's really
Honestly.
awesome. All right, so now that we've kind of gone through all of like the bigger questions, I'm gonna hit you with a couple of our speed round, some questions. So
Okay,
get ready. All right.
I'm ready.
So what was your first set?
So that's a difficult question because I don't specifically know what the first set I had was, but I think like the first one I specifically remember like
Hmm.
opening and receiving this set was before Bionicle was a thing. There was the theme called Slicer, and the fire themed Slicer called, what was it called, Torch? I
Mhm.
remember
Okay.
getting this guy. He came in this weird little canister thing. They had their little discs they could throw. Um, Honestly, it's kind of a weird little set,
Hmm.
but I still love it. Like I
Awesome.
kind of want to get this set
I mean,
again.
you can do it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Don't compare Slicers to Galador
I'm
ever
just
again.
saying childhood sets. Like I've gotten a few childhood sets of mine when I was younger and got them
Yeah.
new now just because when you're a child, they
Fair enough.
disappear.
Oh
Fair
yeah. Oh
enough.
yeah. I mean that's exactly why I got this guy, this Exo set.
My
It's like
point
this is one I
exactly.
had as a kid. It's not as good as I remember, but it was fun to build it again.
All right. Next question. What is your favorite set of all time?
Oh man, that is a tough one. There's been a few sets recently that I've really enjoyed building.
Hmm.
And I find the more that I build stuff, the more I enjoy the complex models. So I think I think my top spot might have to go to the like the most complex model I had built at the time was the Creator Expert Mustang set,
Oh.
which it was kind of a time where I was more into Technic stuff, but I really thought it looked cool and I got it.
Hmm.
And the combination of Technic and system and like there were so many interesting solutions that I had no idea you could do in Lego. It kind of blew my mind the first time I
Hmm.
built it. So that might take the spot for my best set.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. This one should be a little easier. What is your favorite theme of all time?
My favorite theme, I'll probably have to go with Speed Champions.
Mhm.
I
Who would have
love
thought?
that format, and there's so many, like every single set has such creative building solutions. Like Speed Champions has taught me so much about building Lego.
All right. Perfect. And what is your dream set? Not Lego Dreams.
My dream set probably would not be in the dreams theme, although it might not be too far off. So one of my favorite IPs ever is a Nintendo franchise called Metroid,
Mhm.
and
Ooh.
it's not one of the most well-known franchises. Like most people, when they think of Nintendo, it's Mario, Zelda, Animal Crossing,
Hmm.
but I grew up playing Metroid games and I love them so much. And since Lego has been partnering with Nintendo for a couple of years now, I would love to design a Metroid set so much. I think that would be so cool. Metroid does not get enough love, in my opinion.
All right. Leading into that, what is your favorite mock that you've built?
Oh man, that is a good question. Oh man, I've done quite a few mocks in quite a few different styles, and I wasn't prepared to answer this.
If you want to say like your favorite one from like each style, like your favorite logo, your favorite car, you can do that as well.
Okay, yeah. I think my favorite logo is probably the RIT logo,
I wonder
uh,
why.
just as an RIT alum myself, and
Mhm.
I'm quite happy with how it turned out. Um, Man, I don't know. I've done so many cars. I do really like the classic space car. That one was a lot of fun. I've done quite a few of the kind of Tales of the Space Age style diorama sets.
Here's one
Yeah, the
for you.
Rochester
Yep.
skyline.
The
With
Rochester
the failed
skyline.
eclipse.
Yeah, yeah. We don't have to talk about that.
Nope.
In fact, we couldn't see it because it was so cloudy that
It
day.
Nope.
got
Yep.
dark.
It did get dark, and that was something. I don't know what my favorite one of those would be. I've done a few Lord of the Rings ones I really like.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, maybe one of the Lord of the Rings ones.
All right. And then last speed round question. What is your dream mock that you want to build one day?
My dream mock. I mean, I guess that's not too different from like my dream set,
Hmm.
since maybe
You're
something
gonna
I
make your own
designed could
before
be.
Lego gets a chance.
Um, I mean, I probably would say Metroid again, which is kind of silly because if it's my dream mock, why don't I just go ahead and do it already? Um, oh, actually, I think I would change that. My dream mock is probably to create my own like Lego Creator Expert scale car, like that
Ooh.
Ooh.
size of a build. I'm not sure what it would be, but and like speed champions are generally fairly quick to design. Like it only takes a week or two, and I think something really large scale, like a creative expert mock, would take a lot longer, but
Mhm.
it's something I would like to delve into someday.
That would be really cool.
That would be really cool, actually.
And the last question we have for you before we sign off is, what is your advice to anyone who is looking to break into mock building or just looking to break into building something of their own creations, like building their own creations? What advice would you give someone?
I think the best advice I can give is to not be critical of yourself, like not to two things, not to be critical of yourself and to just try to challenge yourself. So just take any existing set you have, break it apart, and make anything out of it. It doesn't need to be good, it doesn't need to be anything. Like a lot of times it's easy to choose some very vague subject like a spaceship. You can turn anything into a spaceship. Take any set apart. I mean, honestly, you'll see if you get or if you're in the Lego community, everyone's turning everything into the Millennium Falcon lately.
I've seen that.
Yeah,
There's been some like Disney sets, like the Disney Castle or like
yeah,
Simba.
right. It can be completely absurd things. Like it shouldn't work at all, but it doesn't matter. You can take anything and build whatever you want out of it. So just take something apart and then try to build anything else out of it. And it doesn't matter if it's good or not. Like if you're having fun doing it, you're doing it right.
I don't
That
think you can
is,
say anything better than that.
I think that's perfect. Is there any last comments or thoughts you'd like to add before we sign off here?
I don't know. I guess not. Just you know, I've really enjoyed being part of this community so much the last couple of years, and I'm so excited to take the next step and be working for Lego. So
We are both incredibly happy to see you
Mhm.
get to that point, and we will both definitely be buying the sets that you helped
Yes, I
design, by
cannot
the
wait to
way.
see what your first set is because you know that we'll be there day one at our Lego store to buy it.
thanks, guys. That's awesome.
Where can everybody find you before we wrap up?
So mostly you can find me at brick_lizard on Instagram and Rebrickable.
Mhm.
I do have some presence on like Facebook and Flickr, but I don't post to those things too much. So mostly Instagram, Rebrickable. That's where you can find my stuff.
We'll make sure to
Cool.
link that in the description
Yes, it'll
below.
be linked below. So again, thank you so much for coming on and taking time out of your now very busy schedule as you prepare to move to Europe. Um, Cam, I'm going to wrap up for us now as well. If you have not already, subscribed to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you're notified when all new episodes do go live. The most recent episode of Time Capsule was released as of this recording today, but as of this video's release Tuesday about Spider-Man '03. That was a super fun one. We are excited
Mhm.
for next month's because it's something medieval. I will just tease that. Um, you can find us on Instagram at BrickHourPod. You can find me on Instagram at Langster Builds. We will see everybody in the next episode. Have a great night. Happy building.